Hello, this is Aaron Hall at Joseph and Hall, and we are here for our weekly updates. As a reminder, we're here on Mondays at 12:30 Denver time, doing these updates. Those are in English, and then on Wednesdays it's 12:30 Denver time, but they're in Spanish. So our update today is going to be a quick look at the birthright citizenship decision made by the Supreme Court last week. So that was the final day of the Supreme Court term, and they came out with this decision, and it wasn't a good one. However, it also wasn't the worst. So I want to talk about what it meant and what it didn't mean. So the first important thing to note is that this case wasn't really about whether the Constitution guarantees birthright citizenship. The underlying case is, but what this case was about was whether the district court judge, so that's like the trial level judge, had the power to stop the birthright citizenship policy, or the policy refusing to recognize birthright citizenship across the country, whether they had the power to stop that, what's called a nationwide injunction. And so that's the issue that was actually before the court, whether the courts have the power to issue these nationwide injunctions in the cases that come before them in their district, or wherever it is across the country. There have been lots of hints over the course of the past 8 years or so, in judicial opinions and in Supreme Court opinions and concurrences and dissents, that they really wanted to limit the scope or the prevalence of these nationwide injunctions. And so for some reason, this was the case they took up to really take a look at it and do something about it. So what they decided was that, in general, district courts should not and cannot be issuing nationwide injunctions. That means in one single case before them, if they find that the policy is unlawful, that they should limit the relief to the parties before them. So what does that mean in practice? Well, basically it means if one person is suing the government saying you can't refuse to recognize my child's citizenship who was born here in the United States, and the judge finds that they're right, the judge can order the government to recognize that kid as a U.S. citizen, but can't order the whole government to recognize that those kids in similar situations are citizens all across the country. They limit it to the person before them. However, it doesn't stop class actions from happening. And so that's a class action is where you have one person, one plaintiff, or a group of plaintiffs who represents the interests of similarly situated plaintiffs around the country, and the judge certifies a class, and then the relief can be applied across the country to all similarly situated people. And after the Supreme Court decision, I think it was only a few hours until there was an amended complaint filed in one of the cases to get a class certified. In addition, the Supreme Court's order didn't go into effect for 30 days, and so there is time for a class to be certified and for some preliminary relief and injunction to go and represent the class and block this action on behalf of the class. And frankly, that's what I fully expect to happen. I think that this will be enjoined as a class, and that birthright citizenship will go on uninterrupted. In this case, in my opinion, it's not going to change the fact that the policy is clearly unconstitutional, and so it's going to be blocked. And I don't expect the Supreme Court to come in and change that at any time. However, I do think that the Supreme Court decision is going to have worse effects for other cases where people have been getting, or parties have been getting, nationwide injunctions, and it's going to get a lot messier and more difficult to stop unlawful policies. But in this case, I think for the people who are contacting our office and wondering what this means, I'm confident that all people who were born here in the United States, who are not the children of diplomats, everybody else is going to be continue to be recognized as a U.S. citizen, is going to be able to get their U.S. passports, even going forward, even after this order. So that's kind of what it means, what we're seeing going forward. That's the end of the Supreme Court term. That doesn't mean that there won't be any action over the summer. There's always action on emergency cases, emergency requests for relief, things like that. But as far as like regular cases where they hear argument and issue opinions, it will be until the fall before they get going again. And hopefully they'll do better next term. That's it for now. We will be back on Wednesday in Spanish. We will be back next Monday in English. I hope all are well, and we will talk to you then.